You can be natural. You can just be Scott. You don't have to. You don't
I'm
have to be
good.
on. We can just chat. It's just you and
That's
me.
it's just us.
Yeah. Hey, Scott. Good morning. Good
Good
Wednesday morning
morning.
to you, buddy.
It is a good morning. It's always good to
Yeah.
see you.
Good day every day. The last time we chatted about some constructability issues, and you were doing some clever things, as you have been known to do for 25 years. I think I've known you. For those of us that haven't met you, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, I'm Scott Brown. I'm a husband and father of four and a grandfather. That's my main love in life at this point. But I always wanted to be an architect
Yeah.
and achieve that. Built Lincoln Log models in the sandbox, and then always loved building models. And so today, when Revit came out in 1999, the holy grail of architecture, it was written up in Cadence magazine. As I read, I said we should try this, and we did. And so I'm an early adopter of Revit, and that's how I know you.
Yep.
Um, and I've worked for Wimberley Austin Tong and Gu was the company I thought I'd never leave. Wonderful
Yep.
international design firm, and then 2008 hit, and luxury hospitality became a bad word. And had good friends at other firms, so I was not ever affected by the economy. I was able to shift companies and got into a healthcare company, and then Beck, integrated construction and architecture company, had always wanted. They kept calling me, "Hey, will you come to Atlanta?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to move." "Will you come to Texas?" "No, I don't want to move." "All right,
Where were you at the time?
I was in Florida, in
Oh, okay.
Orlando. So by that time, I had left Colorado, had been out in Newport Beach at WATG, and then WATG had bought a company an interiors company in Florida, and needed architecture there. And that was on the same coast as family, so it made sense for me to get back to the
Right.
East Coast. So
Okay.
anyway, long story short, I was tired of building these beautiful models for Disney and people like that and not really getting the most out of them. So I finally said yes to Aaron Mahler and Kelly Cohn when they,
It's hard to say no to Aaron. He's
yeah, yeah,
persistent. And Kelly. Yeah.
yeah. Because I'd see them, every year at AU or RTC, and they'd be like, "Come work for us. We're doing fun stuff." And so I came to work for them, and they both left. So, so
But you're still doing fun stuff.
yeah, I've been left carrying forward the innovations that they've started, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's so awesome because we spend so many hours building these models, and then
Right.
to not then to just, this is what you and I talked about before, then to just break the model down into tiny little pieces that are 2D views, put
Yeah.
them on little sheets of paper to give to a contractor to build is just nuts, right? It's so insane that we have a
Right.
building that is built on the computer virtually, that we break up into little pieces and ask, "Hey, can you figure this out by 400 sheets of paper?" Right?
Yeah.
So I get
I,
the
I refer
challenge.
to it as like if you're trying to figure something out, like a building, but you can only look at it through the down, through a paper towel tube,
Yeah.
and you're like, you only got this little tiny view of the
And
building.
somebody
Like,
else
why
is
would you
telling
smash it
you
up? You want the
where
whole
to
thing.
look, right? So,
And Beck's approach, you're in an integrated environment. You guys are designing stuff that you also manage the construction of. So there's this incentive to
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah. Fred Papal, our CEO, says if we're just a good architecture company plus a good construction company, and 1+1 = 2, it's not worth doing business this way. We need to
Right.
do 1+1 = 6. How does that work, right?
Right.
So
Right.
we have the ability and luxury to not put a CYA note on our drawings that say, or our model. Like, we deliver the model to construction and say, yes, you can use this. It still scares the architects, right? Because we know we aren't perfect, but there's no errors and omissions. There's no risk to our architecture team in an integrated environment. The risk is
Right.
all ours. So if we can help them, anyway, we were doing this just this week, giving quantities, which is something that, like, cringe as an architect to tell them how many X, Y, or Z things you have in your
Yeah. How
project.
much of? Sure.
And we were on a
Yeah,
call, and
but
the guy was like,
is there any reward outside of risk? I mean, other than winning the lottery, and what are the odds of that? Every reward comes from risk. And
absolutely,
I don't, I think
absolutely.
it's going to be 1 + 1 = 6 or 5 or 10 because the sum becomes greater than the parts. And you
Yes.
guys are taking on that risk and should be rewarded in proportion.
Yep.
So you gotta, the problem, Scott, the thing that's always annoyed me about you is you never leave well enough alone. You're always you're always pushing it forward, which really doesn't annoy me. It inspires me and gives me joy. So when we were chatting the other day about your use of a real-time rendering tool to resolve constructability issues, it really piqued my curiosity and really makes me smile. So I think we
Cool.
want to just take a moment to illustrate for people how you're using Enscape, and maybe you could explain why you're using Enscape to resolve constructability issues. First of all, like why are you doing it this way? Because there's lots of constructability visualization tools, but you like Enscape. And then give us some examples of how you're using it to resolve, to visualize, display, illustrate constructability issues.
So it's funny you ask it that way because I'm pretty much blind. I remember when I first tried Revit, and my boss like looked over my shoulder, and I had made this little medical office building, and I said, "Yeah, I don't think it's ready yet for us to use." And he's like, "No, you don't understand. You just allowed us to compete with the big guys, because
Yeah.
and and so he's like, we got to keep using this tool." I
Right.
actually, years ago when Enscape came out, we got it. And because we're integrated, we had uh, some construction folks around. I was walking them around the model, and they were like, "Hey, can you teach us a class on how we can use this?" And
Right.
like, we haven't really even shown the architects how to use it. So they jumped on it right away, because if there's a wonderful superintendent I used to work with. His name's Gorm. We'll just call him Gorm. Great guy, right? But I'd show him my detail and be like, "Can this work?" And he like, it occurred to me that it's not that he couldn't read a drawing, but he's a very 3D visual person.
He
And
wants
so
3D. He wants
he
to see it.
wants,
Sure.
yeah. And he's like, "Scott, I'm going to build the structure, and I'm going to get the pieces in place, and then you're going to come back to the site, and we're going to figure this detail out in place."
Okay.
And I'm like, "No, I got to finish my drawings." And it's like, "No, you need to give me the information I need when I need it, and then we'll solve the problem." And so
Right.
I'm like, "Okay, that still makes me uncomfortable. I want to know what you're going to do before we do it." So anyway, we started to learn that construction, the first thing they do when they get a set of our drawings is they turn on thin lines in Bluebeam, or turn off our thick lines so they can see the layers of the wall. They want to see everything.
Everything's nice and thin lines. All your
Yeah.
drawing. Okay.
So anyway, why we use Enscape is I started using it to walk around doing project coordination, looking for
Right.
problems, right? Just walk around a building and you see a pipe sticking out a wall. It's a lot easier than running clashes, right? Dumb architect.
Yeah, it's already right there. Your
You
concurrent,
just,
your design view, and it's easy to walk around in Enscape.
right.
That's the thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a video game, right? You just move yourself around, right? You want to start moving, you start moving, right? And
Okay.
so,
So wait. So right away, and we didn't plan for this. I just happened to notice it where you're chatting. You have a whiteboard
right.
inside of the lobby. I don't
Because,
think that's part of the actual project. You're doing
no,
something else.
right. So in this, so you asked a different question and I didn't really answer it yet. So what
Sorry.
we have been trying to do is come up with different ways to extend the life of our models and provide construction information in a way that's easy to communicate with the person receiving it, right? And a few releases ago, Enscape let us show the filters in Revit in
Right.
Enscape. And that was a game changer for us. A light bulb went off, and my coworker, Mason's head, who does VDC, is like, "You got to show, like, there's so many things we can do. You mean we can," because we show these plans, right, where we highlight all the furniture that needs to be hardwired in
Right.
electricity with a neon green, and you can do a conditional format. And they're like, "That's cool, but it's still 2D. What if I could walk around into a room and see that stuff visually?" And now we can. So that's why we're using Enscape. And the last few weeks, I've been like, oh, well, we started looking at where do we have some problems? Where should we start, right? What would be the first level? So we started blocking. We got this checkbox in Revit, which a lot of times our construction folks don't even know the information that we have that we could give them, right? Every object in our model has this little checkbox requires wall blocking, right? So what do we do? So we make a filter in Revit that says requires wall blocking. Well, what kind of blocking? I don't really know as an architect which, right? There's these canned details that somebody hopefully knows are the right details to use, right? And so I said, well, let's just put filters in. So this is the filter snapshot. And so I put this little
A, B, C, and D.
Yep. So the contractor can come in and be like, okay, A is the typical little strap that it's not great. You just put a little strap of metal in and can screw your cabinets into it. And B is a little bit, it's more tricky. You got to cut some studs and then you can put that little thing in and it probably holds a certain amount of weight. And then you get the big dog with an 8-inch one and then a really big one. And I don't know what the difference is between those. Oh, back-to-back studs. Right. And then the one that's not here that you sometimes need is like a piece of wood that costs money. So,
okay.
As we walk
but
around.
But the thing is, it's kind of, I think the word is skeuomorphic, right?
What's that?
Skeuomorphic. It means a visual representation of something in the virtual space that represents how we would do it in the, physical space, analog space. So you put a whiteboard in the lobby because that's where you need to see it.
Yeah.
And so it's not like a thing just floating in space. It's a detail. It's like, oh, there's a whiteboard that explains something. And that you don't have to look away. It's already right there.
Right. But this is a workaround, right? Because what I'd love to be able to do is like, okay, pick on that TV. It shows it's red, so I know it needs blocking. So I stopped in the lobby. I know that needs blocking. But as I wander away, right, we're going to get to another room and be like, oh, well, I can't bring my whiteboard with me. So that's kind of a problem. So, okay, I remember that's red, so that's good. Then I'll go find a room with something else.
We got to talk about why your walls are transparent too. That's that's interesting.
So why did we do the walls transparent is I turned off the link model, but the reason is so all the pipes and everything else, if I turn on the MEP model, they'll show up through the walls and I can know if something that requires blocking has pipes behind it.
It's just visual coordination.
Yeah, exactly. Without,
okay, so this is the thing that, like, when the BIM information tool was created, the intent was we would have a way of marking things up for coordination. And I don't know that it's used that much because, like, if you're in a meeting and you have to pick something and put a push pin and type a comment, for me, it's so unnerving to be typing during a meeting. It just feels like every key press is a minute long.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're using the BIM tool to select things and then read all the parameter information. And you create a lot of custom parameters. And when we were chatting the other day, I was like, do custom parameters show up? And you're like, yes, they do. Yeah, so what have you got here?
You can see down here that wall blocking type C is here.
It's in the thing.
But I got to go back to the lobby to find out what C is. So
that's true.
Or I have my set of drawings, right? And I flip to that. So, I was just watching a deep dive yesterday with Chaos's construction, their Chaos Cloud.
Yeah.
And I guess beta is a streaming of this. And that'll be huge because right now we have two problems, right? We can package this thing up and get the executable, which is like 700 megabytes for this building. And it takes a while to build, right? And if I, like in this case where I didn't load the MEP model and I've made that and I'm like, crud, I need to redo it. Got to reload the MEP model, re-export the thing. So that's exciting. And they have this thing where they can pop up information. Like, so if I put my pointer over this,
Right.
what can I see? And
Gotcha.
I would love to be able to speak into what do I see? Because the problem with this BIM information right now is it's not curated. Like, I still want to make it easier for who's ever consuming this information. Right now, like, I don't know why Enscape decides to show me what it decides to show me. It's this massive list of probably every
Yeah,
parameter.
it's everything. You can't curate it. You can't cull it down and say, just show me elements of a certain category.
And this has always been an issue in ACC and all of them, right? So
Yeah.
what I'd love to do is Enscape is so close to being able to, like, if I can have a 3D tag, so I could create like element tag. So if I put this over, my tag would pop up this and it would say it's bow brick mirror, whatever.
Yep.
And it requires blocking C, and
So you don't need the tag to show all the time. You would prefer the tag appear based on requirement. So that element that you've selected needs wall blocking C, and then over to the right a little bit, looks like there's some casework in the next room. That's a different color because it's using a different blocking.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, this is hugely helpful, but it's not enough information yet, right? Like, at the end of the day, the other thing is, like, okay, this is one filter set. What I really want is to have the Revit filters that I've preset in Revit be available for the end consumer right here.
Right.
And be like, okay, I'm seeing my blocking filter now, but I need to see switch to the electrical one, or which walls are going up to deck. What would be the next thing that I would want to see in this room if I'm here? Oh, maybe I need to switch. We're now painting this room and I want to turn off this filter and see the final. I'm with the painter and being like, hey, this is the colors on these rooms and I want to turn this filter off.
Yeah, you can't do that in the exe file. It's kind of frozen. So the ability to do that live. But the thing is, you're having this concurrent to the design file, which, number one, it shows me that Enscape is not just a rendering tool. It's kind of an understanding tool. It's kind of an easy walk around and figure things out. And if you don't know what something is, you can pick it in Enscape and it will display all the parameter data. It's like, sometimes I want to render and see things in an emotional, gratifying state. And other times I want to see them and understand what they are more analytically. And you guys are doing both.
Yeah. And that's, I guess when you said I push stuff, it's true. Like, I've got this tool, I understand it. I have Revit and I understand it. So I want to see how far I can take that tool.
How far can you push it?
Certainly there's other tools, but you just get too many and it's like, my head explodes, right? So maybe that's being stuck in a box. And
no. I think there's an artifact where people have the tendency to do something difficult in an easy tool. There's a preference to do something difficult in an easy tool versus do something easy in a difficult tool, because your entry to an easy tool is not heavy lifting. It's easy. So once you're in there, you can go, how far can we push the easy thing? And that's easier than going, well, I have to learn this really complicated tool, and then I can decide if the workflow is easy. So you're doing the natural thing, I think, that people want to do. They want to do the easy thing and then figure out how to do something hard in it.
Right.
Anything else interesting? I mean, your walls are translucent. As you said, if you had the MEP model loaded, you could see if there's visual coordination issues.
I don't know that in this example there's anything interesting, except it was really
cool. It looks like you're going through a lot of effort just to show what switches do on the walls. They're not just panels that sort of float in space. They've actually got, like, it looks like that's an emergency. Maybe that's a door release or some kind of red button, the one that's alone.
Well, in healthcare projects, we do have to locate like everything. And so this is really helpful. And like these casework brackets are a huge thing that, like, they I doubt most people put them in, or they have some standard detail that's just like, do these every 2 feet. But they really need to be coordinated because they
Yeah.
need to support a big counter and interact with, outlets. So you can see like these outlets here, are they, is that going to work that you can have them right on either side? Probably okay, but it might be a problem, and construction might be like, yeah, don't do that. Move all
Right.
3 of those to one side of the bracket, because I don't know, it's probably okay, but maybe it isn't.
Now, I mean, as much as we're talking about analytic information here, you do go to a very fine level of detail resolving paint finishes.
Yeah.
And you do that in Enscape, but you display the information on drawings, which I thought was interesting because the drawing is the sort of artifact of how we're trying to understand the building.
Okay, so this is, I think you and I have talked about this before, but using
this is your actual working floor plan documentation if you were to print this on paper.
Yeah.
Or this is what they would see in the job trailer.
Yeah, so we do a couple different things. We still have this 30 by 42 sheets of paper. This is a working view that we call one plan to rule them all, which is large scale. But we'll put this same QR code on our typical enlarged plan that has the enlarged plan of this room, the ceiling plan, and some interior elevations. We'll add these QR codes that
Gotcha.
You can I scan that? You can scan that, yeah. And then you could share your screen and see what you get. Let's see if it
it says Enscape3D.com. It prompted me to open up a view.
Are you able to share your phone? Because I can get to it.
No, it's working. Yeah. So in the presentation, somebody should be able to scan this and then navigate the room.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing casework on the wall. I can see, looks like there's small disposable units. A lot of the furniture, the beds are all just white context. They're very detailed, though. And then you've got tile on the wall. It looks like you've got, I don't know what the floor is made of. It looks like some impervious finish.
Yeah,
and then white paint and casework. There you go. That's it.
Yeah. So
you're putting these QR codes
on our plans.
Right there.
So, because, it's crazy that we show the owner the final rendered view, and we take a lot of time at Beck to have our interior designers pick out the actual materials, right? And we render them, and they want to see what the real thing is.
Yeah.
And then we don't let the painter or the mill worker see what it's supposed to look at the end.
Right.
So
right.
Again, my holy grail is that I could put my cursor over this finished rendered, and it's say this is Sherman-Williams paint, XYZ, and the contact info. Like I want to highlight over, because I know Enscape's pulling that material. It can pull the image asset out. So could it pull out all of the parameters that we've already put in that are in our finished schedule, right? And reveal those to me, and then let that stick there, right? So that he can come back. Especially this room probably has a plastic laminate green finish, a plastic laminate that looks like wood, paint finish, and this FRP that has some sort of in the terrazzo floor. Like if all of those finishes, if that's the person consuming it, the painter, he could put on those, it give him what the material is, and it sticks there, right, for a little while. And then of course, if you could, measure in this view, those things would be helpful to them too. But, so we're trying to pair this like high level, highly detailed plan view with all that information with the graphical information.
And this is not a rendering to get an approval of a rendering. This is a rendering so people who are building the building understand where things go, even down to materials and finishes.
Yeah. Right. So they still have to then, let's see if this will stop doing weird stuff. So like I would love to curate, this tag. So when they look at that 3D view at that soap dispenser or that whatever it's pointing to, paper towel dispenser, that's the information they see, right? Within the Enscape window. Georgia Pacific, requires wall blocking, no, like all of those pieces of information that you would have had to flip to a schedule to go find.
Just put it where you see it. Put it in
It's
context.
in the model. We know it's in the model. It's just what's the best way to give it to them.
Right.
That they'll understand. Because even, this stuff's cryptic. Even, I think that it's clear in plan that this is a sink that's set to transparent and you can see a counter below that. And, that there's dashed lines mean that's above. And so there's cabinets above. But, that might look like a bunch of gobbledygook to paper towel dispenser installer, right? Giving them that drawing may not be helpful, but giving them
You maybe need both.
is like
You would like to see it in a
yeah,
first person mode.
yeah,
And you'd also like to see all this analytic stuff with things inside of things. And
yeah.
look, Scott, this is great. I really
Cool.
appreciate it. I mean, we've got a couple of examples of workflow. You've asked for future features. Like, here's how it would be useful if you guys could extend it. Let's do this again. We'll take a couple
Anytime.
months and then we'll come back. All right. You'll have done something else then that gives me joy and
Yeah. Well, our next, what we're working on next is door hardware, which is one of those things that's no fun. But like I said, we need to figure out which doors. We need to graphically show doors that have card readers and which ones require electricity because that got to get roughed in. And if it doesn't
Right.
get roughed in and everything's finished and then they come back and say, no, we needed this door on power, it costs us a bunch of money to rip out drywall and run line.
Right.
So it's crazy, these things. So it's scope gap stuff, right? Architect's not really responsible for that, means and methods, and contractor is responsible to put it in. But if we can show them where, and every problem we prevent is at the end of the day a bigger bonus for everybody.
Yeah, better building.
Split.
So you'll be lighting up those doors like you were lighting up wall mounted.
Yeah, I mean it's a simple graphical thing, right? Okay, if it's purple, it's got power, and anyway, something.
You have to decide the colors. I don't know.
Yeah, you run out of colors. That's also a challenge. But
All right, buddy. Hey, have a
thanks.
great day, Scott. Thank you so much.
You too.
It's been great.
Take care.
All right. And there we are.